I'd like to call this meeting of the Clay County Commission to order. We will start this evening with our invocation. Jerry Kane, retired chaplain from William Jewell University.
Let us pray. Creator God, in the name of all goodness and power, we pray to you this evening. Gathered in this room, we wish to recognize your abundant plans for the citizens of Clay County and also for our neighbors. Enlighten us again tonight about how much you love these people. We welcome our new administrator, and as chosen leaders, we want to follow the purpose for which we were created and for which we were elected. We are in your hands. Stay by our side and guide our thinking, our speaking, our feelings, and our voting. Fill the heart of each person in this room this July evening with the desire to ensure opportunity for all of our brothers and sisters. By sharing the good things of your good earth, may we secure equality for every human being, an end to all divisions, and a human society built on love and peace. May your will be done in Clay County as it is in heaven. In the name of our common Creator we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte?
Here.
Commissioner Withington? Here. Commissioner Lawson?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Here.
That brings us to approval of the agenda. Commissioner Johnson?
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion's been made for the approval of this evening's agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next on our agenda are ceremonial matters. Administrator?
Yes. This evening, we have an honorary resolution for the commission. Agenda item 2025-219, recognizing Lyle Updike and the 12th Annual Appreciation Barbecue for First Responders.
Thank you. Want to make sure that we have a moment for Mr. Updike to come forward. I'm just going to hit some of the high points on our resolution. Have Mr. Updike say a few words and then open it up for the commission to make any comments that they would care to make. And then I believe there may be some people who would like to also expand on this present. So I've known Lyle for an awful long time, and he's been so great at being of service to not just law enforcement, but everybody that comes across his path. And his particular talent is barbecue. My particular talent is eating barbecue, so we're really well matched. He's done a lot of things, but one of the highlights that we're trying to put a spotlight on is the 12th Annual Appreciation Barbecue for First Responders, which is coming up soon, and I will let Lyle kind of expand on that a little bit more. But it is, if I understand correctly, the largest and longest running appreciation event of its kind in the Northland, which is a great, great thing. Lyle and his supporters have fed over 4,100 first responders and demonstrated an unmatched commitment of gratitude towards our public service people. He prepares and serves meals for first responders, and this is not the only thing he does. At approximately 20 locations throughout the course of the year, he does provide those meals and all the accoutrements that go with it free of charge. They're always free of charge. And the reason that they can do that is first and foremost, of course, Lyle's generosity, but also in very large part, and they are many of them are listed here, the sponsors that have seen Lyle's service and have joined him as an example to our community on how you not just say thank you for your service, but actually have a real tangible expression of that gratitude. And so that's something that you don't see all the time. And he has kind of done this somewhat under the radar. The people that are affected really know and they really appreciate what he's doing. However, I think that he deserves a bit broader recognition and respect for what he has been doing. And he is continuing to do. At least I hope you continue to do. It's really an outstanding service to this community, and he is fostering a community gratitude, fellowship, and just a wonderful feeling with all he comes in contact with, one meal at a time. So, Lyle, if you'd like to come up and just kind of give us a little bit of, expand a little bit on what I had mentioned there, and then, like I say, we'll open it up to the commission for comments.
Thank you very much.
But be sure, yeah, okay, you got to, I want to make sure, and for those who might want to follow, please make sure the green light is on, speak clearly into the microphone, identify yourself, and then address comments to the commission. So, Lyle, go right ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, you're off again. There you are, now you're on.
Okay, all right. Well, I noticed there was one operative word that Jerry used, and that was to say a few words. Asked our director of the Chamber of Commerce, Ann Carney. She knows a real danger is let me have a microphone. It may take a while, but I will try to go through the highlights. But again, first of all, thank you for the recognition. It's something that has meant a whole lot to me and my family. And they're all here but one grandson. And they're a lot of what I do, honestly. I started cooking in college 60 years ago. But we all think we're pretty good backyard barbecue cookers and chefs, but you really don't know what you don't know until you have a son that's been competing for over 20 years on the competitive barbecue circuit. I have learned so much from him and the barbecue circuit guys that make a living at this. And his record, of course, he's won over 220 awards. And Jerry, his highest was being fourth in the World Invitational at the Royal on brisket. So we play ball with the folks from the Food Network. But let me tell you real quickly, and I know you guys have a meeting to do, and I appreciate all these folks that are here. I started this years ago when I volunteered for the Jesse James Festival. I cooked for them for 13 years as a member, and the Sheriff's Department, the Kearney Police Department guys would always come to eat. And there's one guy in particular, I'm sure some of you folks that have been with the Sheriff's Department for a long time remember Fred Ferguson. Fred was a character and a dear friend. And I used to always joke with him that the wind must have been blowing from the north because he always showed up for the barbecue. But I honestly started this out of wanting to do something for our first responders. I got tired 12 years ago of watching our police officers being shot while on duty. I wanted to prove to people in the Midwest and our law enforcement and first responders, we don't treat people like that. So I started doing that at my barn. You had attended. Several of those, it got so big after 3 years, we had to move it. Now I go to every location. And for those of you that don't know, we do it in 3 counties, Clay, Platte, and Clinton, from Cameron all the way back down here to Clay Como. So what I wanted to do was, part of my goal was hopefully to have people realize that these people are here to serve. And I only wish that our citizens could get to know them the way I do. So with that in mind, I'll just be quiet. We've done over 4,100 meals thus far.
I had a little hiccup. Last 5 years have been a little tough. As many of you know, my wife passed away 5 years ago. At the same time, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I've been fighting through that, and any of you are a family member that's been taking cancer drugs, you know how it zaps your strength. And so I was progressing fairly well with that, very well, until November 20th, my 80th birthday, Megan. I had internal intestinal blockage. So I spent my 80th birthday in surgery, November the 20th. And I didn't know whether I'd be able to continue going or not. But I fought through that. But it did teach me one thing. I cannot sit home and watch TV. I got to be going. And Chief Thomas had mentioned that he wanted to do an event for the Kearney Police Department on January the 11th. And that was my first time back out. That was a long day. But it's been probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And I'll summarize by saying, I am convinced that helping others has a healing effect. And I'll continue to do it as long as I'm capable. Thank you very much.
By the way, before you get away, I was remiss in that I did not mention the Smoking Elvises.
That's my son's barbecue team.
Could you just give us a word or two more on that before we open it up to the commission?
Well, as I said, he's been cooking this will be your 21st year at the American Royal. That's where a lot of the ribbons came from, and fourth in the World Invitational. You have to win at least one grand championship to be invited. So no one can just take a grill and go to the American Royal and compete in the International Invitational. So he has brought along his older son, Alex, my grandson, who now is entering contests as well. And my other younger grandson had to work this afternoon and couldn't make it. But he too is following in his dad's footsteps, and he too is cooking. So we love doing it. As I said, you think you know how to barbecue until you go up against the big boys. And then you better sharpen your pencil. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Does anybody on the commission have anything they would like to say, Mr. Updike? Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. I subscribe to the notion that you cannot say thank you enough. And so I thank you, Mr. Updike, for thanking them for their service and what they do for our community. Thank you very much.
Any other commissioners have any comments? Very well. I understand there are a couple of friends of Lyle and certainly fans of barbecue who may want to say a word or two. If they would like to come forward, please feel free to do so. And as I say, make sure the green light is on the microphone and just speak into the microphone and off we go. Was there anyone who wanted to speak?
Looks green to me. My name is Mark Thomas. I'm the Chief of Police in Kearney, Missouri. I was thinking about, Lyle asked me to come up and speak briefly, and I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I think I've known Lyle since about 1991. He and Joan, I was a brand new trooper to Clay County, and they befriended me and my family. In fact, they helped me, my family, raise money for my daughter, Caitlin, who had a liver transplant back then, and the community did a full-on fundraiser for us, and I've never forgotten that. I've never forgotten that. It strikes home when people do things for you like that in your heart. And fast forward a little bit, and I become the chief, and of course I've always been a fan of Lyle's barbecue when I worked at Clay County and when I worked at Platte County, and I always tried to get in on the action if I could, because I like to eat, to be honest. And then Lyle mentioned a couple of his grandsons earlier. His other grandson on the other side of the family is grandson-in-law, Chris Allard, is one of my new police officers. Proud to have him. He's an awesome addition for us. So I'm hoping that with having Chris there, that if if Lyle has any leftovers or anything like that, he's welcome to stop by. He has one, he knows this, by the way, he has one required item before he walks in the door at Kearney Police Department, and that is cheesy corn, right? Cheesy corn, that's what gets you in the door. Thank you guys very much. Congratulations, Lyle.
Thank you, sir. I might add that cheesy corn came from my Randall and barbecue contest.
It's awesome, man.
Good evening. I'm John Bazzano from the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Aiken's not able to be here this evening. He's out of town for training, but he expresses his thanks and congratulations for Lyle for this evening. The barbecue is delicious, but what I want to highlight is the part that is the most important in what Lyle does, and it's the servant heart that he has. It's not very often that law enforcement, firefighters, and paramedics can get together in the same room and share a cheesy corn or some barbecue and a handshake and a bottle of water. Typically, our interactions are the worst part of people's lives. We're dealing with trauma, we're dealing with custody issues and domestic disturbances. So this is a great opportunity to bring us together to make us more comfortable, to build those relationships so we have those in the field. And there's not anything else like that in the last decade, in my experience here with the Sheriff's Office, where anybody else has gone above and beyond what Lyle does. So on behalf of the Sheriff and the Sheriff's Office, we really appreciate Lyle and the recognition that he's been given this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Dave Klein. I'm the Fire Chief, Smith Area Fire Protection District. My first interaction with Lyle was a fire at his house, and I won't get deep into that, but he was making Nashville hot chicken before it was really a thing. But, you know, to echo other comments, you know, it is awesome that, you know, in the communities, and I speak for all the fire departments around, that, you know, this is an opportunity for us to get together in a good situation, unlike some of the others that we see together, and to have that fellowship time. It's been awesome to meet and get to know Lyle and to get to know his supporters. Obviously, without the supporters, this doesn't work. So, you know, he puts out a great product, brings a lot of folks together. It's definitely been an honor to know him and to participate in his dinners. So, thank you very much for his recognition.
Retired Chief Larry Pratt from the Kearney Fire and Rescue Protection District, representing the current Chief Kevin Pratt, who couldn't be here tonight. But we'd like to offer our appreciation to Lyle for what he's done and taking care of the first responders. That's really sets us out from any other location, I think, in the state or anywhere else. So I also have the pleasure of chairing the Jesse James Barbecue Contest, which will be our 37th year this year. The only ones that surpass us is the American Royal and the great Lenexa Barbecue Battle. So I think that probably had an impact with the Updikes when we started that contest back then, because I remember them cooking in our very first annual one. So thanks, Lyle.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Could I make one more comment?
Of course, please come right on up to the mic and do that.
I'll be remiss, and Dave touched on it, is the fact I could not do this without our sponsors. And every one of them have the same thing in common of 6 words: thank you for what you do, as they'll write a check. There's a couple of them here tonight. There have been some that have come to me that we want to be part of that. We can't do it on our own. We don't have the wherewithal and the capability of doing it. But our sponsors, every time I go to see them, there's some that's funny. I walk in and there's one lady said, "Oh, is it that time of year again?" And she reaches for her purse and writes a check. But every one say the same thing: thank you for what you do. And so I'm a vehicle to help the community express things to all of these folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak on this resolution? Okay. So what we will do then is we will sort of stand at ease here for a few moments and get some pictures. And I think we're going to do it in a couple of different groups. So there'll be one with commissioners, one with some of our first responders, and some with Lyle's family. And then we will take up our business again. Okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and present you with the resolution.
Sorry, I was snack one over here. Thanks. And I was remiss. Our prosecuting attorney came, and at first, he didn't know he could make it because we're making this another meeting. He is in charge of the babysitting. And I said, that's fine, bring him on. My little 5-year-old grandson, his great-grandson is here. And when I look over there, there's one other person, I don't want to embarrass her. But my first contact with the Clay County Sheriff's Department, John was with the deputy, Joe Mann. We moved here 52 years ago, which is more than. But that's how I came to know and respect and meet so many people in the Clay County Sheriff's Department. Yes. Let's give one with the family. Yeah. You wouldn't move on to that. Picking with the first responder up here.
Thank you, Lyle.
Everybody's got quirks. There you go. There you go.
Okay, that brings us back onto our agenda. Next on our agenda are public comments. Are there any members of the public who would care to comment on any issues that they would like to address the commission? Seeing none. Brings us to our consent agenda. Mr. Administrator?
Yes, the consent agenda allows the commission to act upon items considered to be routine and approved in one motion. These may include items that have been reviewed by the commission in prior session. There will be no separate discussion unless the commissioner requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. We have 2 items tonight on the consent agenda. The first one are approved invoices from July 5th to July 11th. We have a total of 154 invoices, totaling an amount of $554,537.78, and which is agenda item 2025-213. The other one we have is agenda item 2025-215. That's approval for a purchase by our Parks Department of a John Deere 331 P-tier skid steer. We're trading in our other John Deere for this one, which takes a total from $84,750 down to $73,000. Those are the 2 agenda items for our consent agenda tonight.
Is there a motion related to this evening's consent agenda? Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion's been made for the approval of this evening's consent agenda. Discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. That brings us to this evening's regular agenda. First on that agenda is 2025-214. Administrator?
Agenda item 2025-214 is approval of invoices for the Clay County Prosecutor's Office from the period of July 5th, 2025 to July 11th. We have a total of 7 invoices totaling an amount of $2,771.94.
Commissioner Johnson.
Move to approve 2025-214.
Motion's been made for the approval of 2025-214. Discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
I recuse myself.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 5 in favor, 1 recusal.
Thank you. That brings us to 2025-216. Administrator?
Yes. 2025-216 is a matter of a revocation of a conditional use permit from March 24, 101 CUP. We have Kip Jones, our Planning and Zoning Director, can speak more regarding the agenda item.
Please proceed.
Kip Jones, Planning Director. So we, hold on, let me switch this, I apologize. We have basically 2 cases kind of wrapped up into one with a conditional use permit. So I want to give you a little history of the property first, and then we'll talk about the 2 cases specifically. So this is the overall subject property. It is just south of 210 Highway, which you can see is right up there. And it includes, it used to be 1 parcel, now it is 2 parcels. It includes the underground portion of the cave, which is now Cold Storage Solutions, which some of you may be familiar with. And then the green part that just hopped up on the screen there is the quarry location. The first planning and zoning item came from 1980, which a conditional use permit was issued to allow somebody to live in a mobile home and do car repair inside the cave in 1980. The first CUP for resource extraction was approved in 2009. However, I believe the quarry goes back to 1980 or before. And then that conditional use permit was renewed in 2024. However, the conditions from that conditional use permit were not met, and that's why we're here in front of you tonight. The property is zoned industrial, and it has access from Old 210 Highway and Rains Road. So this is a staff-generated report because we are asking you to do two things. We are asking you to revoke the current CUP because those conditions were not met, and to approve a new CUP with new conditions. The applicant or the owner of the CUP has agreed with those conditions. We did receive concerns from Cold Storage Solutions, so we held several meetings with the two parties, and both parties have agreed to the conditions that we're presenting to you tonight. So let's talk about those conditions a little bit. 18 of the 22 conditions carry over from the CUP renewal from 2024, and 15 carry over from 2009. The conditions you can see in the yellow are the 4 additional conditions. So or they were changed from the 2024 CUP. So the first one is a change. The blasting distance from the property line was increased from 200 to 250 feet, and a condition was added to increase the blasting of the Sniobar layer, which my understanding that's the base layer of the rock, was increased to 400 feet. We added a condition where no truck traffic could cross the old 210 bridge. I believe that bridge is in the process of being replaced. Even after it's replaced, no truck traffic is allowed across that bridge. As part of the revised CUP, the applicant is required to move the entrance to the quarry to gain more separation from the Cold Storage Solutions, and therefore they are going to be required for maintenance of Old 210 Highway where the trucks enter Old 210 to where they get on Rains Road for any damage that's caused on that section of road. And then the interior haul road, and I'll do some more bad drawing here. The interior haul road is right through there now. Let me change colors so you can see that better. Is right through there, and it creates dust issues for the neighbor. So this haul road that I just marked is only going to be used for light vehicles. The entrance, this isn't exact, is going to be moved to Old 210 where the new haul road would access that way and mitigate the issues. The 2 conditions you can see in red were the 2 conditions that were not met with the CUP renewal, which included moving the haul road from its current location to a new location. And this property was one property at one point, so it only had one sewer system. One of the conditions requires that sewer system be separated since they're separate properties now. So the quarry would have one sewer system, the underground space would have a second sewer system. Here is the subject property there in red, that's just the quarry. You can see this is a heavily ag area south of 210 Highway. Just for a point of reference, if you know Missouri Organic, the composting facility, that's it there. And again, this is 210 Highway here. There are 2 residents right here. One was built in the last few years. The other one's been there for quite a while, but not a whole lot of residential development in this area. Planning and zoning went through our public notice requirements. Staff made a recommendation of approval with 22 conditions. The Planning and Zoning Commission amended 2 of those conditions, and those conditions had to do with the sewer system and the movement of that entrance. And what the Planning and Zoning Commission did was they lowered the time frame for the applicant to get those items done. The sewer system was supposed to be separated within 6 months. Planning and Zoning moved that to 90 days. The entrance was supposed to be moved within 120 days. The Planning and Zoning Commission amended that condition to 90 days as well. Then the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 to approve with the amended conditions. And with this case, since it's a revocation and an approval, the County Commission is the decision-making body for this case. And I do want to mention that we did update the resolution that's probably in your packet. It did not indicate revocation and then approval of the project, but that's what we're requesting. So if approved, the resolution will read that the current CUP will be revoked and the new CUP will be adopted with the new conditions. The applicant is present if you have questions, but I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Commissioner Lawson.
Thank you for the curtains. One of the things that I was concerned about, how does cold storage feel about all of this?
They have agreed with the conditions that are in the updated CUP.
Okay. And are the applicants comfortable with the revisions that our planning and zoning have made?
I don't know if that was, you're talking about the amendments to the condition?
Yeah.
I would have Mr. Bueller speak to that. I don't recall if he addressed that in the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Yes, I agree
Oh,
to...
go ahead and identify yourself for the
This is
audio.
Neil Bueller.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree to the new conditions that they
Okay.
are putting forward that we're doing. And I had already completed one of them, was
Okay.
putting the new entrance in on the south side of the property. So there's just two other conditions that need to be met. And as soon as I get the approval, we'll work on those and get those done and taken care of.
So this is actually no longer car repair, it's a quarry?
No, that's been gone 40
Okay, that's
years
gone.
ago. Yeah,
This is a quarry.
Basically, what we're doing, these mines are they were mined out probably in the 60s. They're just not very safe mines to develop. So we're taking them down just to to help develop the area and have a surface development instead of underground on the portion that I'm taking down. It's just, there's not conducive for developing underground. So it's probably best to take them down for safety reasons for the, just people. I've caught people in there that shouldn't be in there, and it's just a bad condition to be inside portions of it. So we're taking them down to just make it safety.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you, and thanks for being here this evening. I'm not sure who will want to answer either of these questions, so it'll just be like a toss-up.
I will try.
All right. First one, so it sounds like the entrance has already been done. I guess my question is more towards the sewer system. So is activity not allowed until those conditions have been met?
No, activity is allowed, but he has 90 days from the approval date to complete those conditions.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would bring back another revocation to the Planning and Zoning Commission and County Commission.
Very good. And then second question, since I'm not as familiar with the position of this location versus the older bridge or even where the new bridge is, I guess my question is really, how does one police whether someone is driving on those bridges? And I guess secondarily, would they even want to based on where they're trying to take material to or they're bringing material to the site?
So I've requested Tom with Road and Bridge to sit out there every day and police that for us.
Well, I was
And
looking
he said
earlier
yes.
tonight at some of his earlier Apple gadgets, so now he's got something to do with those gadgets, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, so my understanding is the trucks are extremely too heavy for that bridge. Now, we obviously won't have somebody out there policing it, but if we hear that is occurring, then obviously we would take action.
And I guess I'm trying to gather whether that's even a concern, and part of that is based on its position with where those trucks would normally have to go. And so I don't want to send Tom out there needlessly if no one's really going to drive there because there's no reason to. Because I do know drivers, and every once in a while one decides, it's actually a shorter drive if I just go ahead and I'll drive real fast so the weight of the truck won't get on the bridge that long. So if you follow my logic there just for a moment.
So to give you an idea, the entrance is going to be somewhere in this location. The bridge is right there.
Okay.
The trucks will come here, take a right on Range Road to get on 210.
Okay.
That's what they've been doing. We haven't had an issue, and the bridge has been there.
Okay.
So I would expect the same in the future.
Well, then I will share that enthusiasm and optimism. So thank you very much.
And also, the bridge is currently closed. It's blocked off right now, so they're probably going to utilize that because of that right now.
Would the applicant like to make any statements? I realize you came up and you'd made some statements. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. If there are no questions from the commission, is there a motion? There's a motion on the floor. Commissioner Johnson.
Actually, before I make the motion, just one more clarification. Was there any opposition whatsoever to this?
So we had, if I go back to the aerial, the property owner that owns that was at the Planning and Zoning Commission. He didn't classify it as opposition. He had some concerns. I've offered to meet with him, so he's going to come in the office and meet with me, but no drastic opposition, no.
Okay. Move to approve 2025-216.
Motion has been made for the approval of 2025-216. Further discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to, I'm sorry?
To mark the box approved.
Oh, thank you for that. And with the marks, the box marked approved. Thank you, Council. Further discussion? Seeing none, you are recognized to close.
I close.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is 2025-218. Administrator?
Yes. As appointment of the Zoological District Board for the commission. This one here is the one that was submitted as part of the Zoological Board. You have two members that you have select. One is one of yourselves, and the other one is from a list provided by the Friends of the Zoo. You should have in your possession a list submitted by the Friends of the Zoo on July 8th to myself for your review and recommendation.
Commissioner Wagner?
Thank you. I move to reappoint Greg Knutson to the Zoological District Board.
Motion's been made for to appoint Greg Knutson, or should I say insert that name in the resolution, which, Mr. Counselor, is more accurate? That's fine. Either way works? Very well. Motion has been made. Further discussion? Commissioner Johnson?
Yeah, I have some grave concerns about this whole process for the Zoological District that I'd like to address.
Could you speak a bit more into your mic, please?
Yeah, sorry
Thank
about that. Again, I have some concerns that I'd like to address. You know, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Although I'm in politics, I don't consider myself a politician. I got into politics because I hate politics. I've said that before. I said I hate the political games that are played at the taxpayer's expense. I hate it when politicians are more motivated by their own selfish desires or even their desire for retribution against others through political means, all at the expense of the people who put us in office. That's why most Americans don't trust politicians. And I will personally weed that out at every opportunity I have. We are a representative democracy, and all of us were elected to represent the will of the people, not our self-serving desires. And as humans, I think we all often have selfish desires that we all need to keep in check sometimes. And I think this is one of those times we need to do so, and here's why. I tell you, I'm very, very disheartened and very disappointed at the way the Zoological District nomination is being handled, this whole process. And I have to give a little background to get to this point, a little foundation. For those of you who don't know, when we talk about the Zoo Board, it's kind of confusing because there's essentially, in loose terms, there's two zoo boards. One is the Friends of the Zoo Board of Directors, and that's kind of a volunteer board that supports the zoo through fundraising efforts, et cetera. There's 25 plus members on that board. They have their own chairman and officers, and I think they appoint the executive director of the zoo as well, if I'm not mistaken. Then there's the Zoological District Commissioners, and that's what we're talking about tonight, the Zoological District Commissioners, which is sometimes also referred to as the Zoo Board, but not to be confused with the Friends of the Zoo Board. But Clay County has two positions on that Board of Commission. The purpose is to oversee the distribution of the tens of millions of dollars that we, Clay County, give to the zoo through our 1/8 cent sales tax here in Clay County. So the zoo district consists of Clay County and Jackson County. Each has a 1/8 cent sales tax that goes to the zoo. So anything you buy that's taxed in this county, 1/8 cents goes to the zoo. And that, for Clay County, that comes to about $6 million, according to our county auditor, about $6 million a year that we're giving to the zoo. Last week, as you know, I was voted in to be one of those representatives on that board. The week before that, or the meeting before that, there was a discussion about that, and I got several calls about that discussion and what took place, and kind of confusion about the zoo board, and almost the maniacal efforts of some to try and dictate that vote, or stay on that board, or change the outcome of that vote. And we heard Commissioner Nolte, who has been on that board, say that he was kind of sprung on him, surprised that I was nominated by Commissioner Withington. I didn't say anything at the time. I just kind of let it ride. But I want to make sure people are clear what happened. On June 16th, to be exact, at 9 a.m. in the morning, I had a meeting with Jerry Nolte and with our then County Administrator, Diana Wright, and we talked about this exact issue. This is a week and a half before this discussion ever came up here. And in part of our meetings, one of the regular things we do, we talk about positions that are open on boards, the various boards, and what we have to bring to this body. It was during that discussion I let Commissioner Nolte know that his position had expired, and that I would be nominated, that Commissioner Withington has asked if he could nominate me for that position on the zoo board. Commissioner Nolte said he'd still like to be on that zoo board, and asked me why I wanted to be on that zoo board. And I said, quite frankly, because I'm concerned about the zoological district. First and foremost, Commissioner Nolte was never legally on that board. He took that position on that board with the claims that he deserved, that he was entitled to that position because he's a presiding commissioner, directly in violation of state law. Whether that was intentional or that was ignorance of the law is no excuse to violate the law. He'd been on that board for over 10 years now in violation of state law. State law requires, and we read it last week, and anybody who's interested in it, it's RSMO 184.506. It requires this body to elect one of us, to nominate one of us, and a majority of this body decides who's on that board, just like we did last week with me. The second position on that board, per state law, says that Friends of the Zoo District Board is to present us with 3 names, and that's under that same RSMO section. Present us with 3 names, and this body selects one of those 3 names. That didn't happen either with Mayor Knutson, from what I understand. He was appointed by Commissioner Nolte, and I don't fault Mayor Knutson for that either, but nonetheless. And I also let Commissioner Nolte know that one of the responsibilities of that board, which is found under RSMO 184.509, is to report the operations, this is a quote, report the operation and transaction conducted by the commission during the preceding year, and that report shall be submitted, amongst other people, to us. A financial financial report is to be submitted to us every year. It also says it should be published annually, reported the official county, shall publish the annual report in the official county newspaper for each of the counties comprising the district. So, and this is all about transparency and accountability and communicating to our citizens what they're getting for their $6 million a year they're paying to the zoo via sales tax in Clay County. Those things have not been happening. I've never gotten a report. I don't know that it's ever been published. When I asked Commissioner Nolte about that, he said he didn't know about it. To me, it's you're on that board for 10 years. You should know what the board's responsibilities are to the citizens. That was my concern. I expressed that concern to Commissioner Withington. Commissioner Withington said he was going to nominate me to be on the board since the term's expired. I never had a discussion with anybody else in this commission, by the way, about that. I never asked anybody to nominate me. I told Commissioner Nolte on our meeting on the 16th, hey, you know what? We could both put our name in. Whatever the commission decides, they decide. Never asked anybody, never contacted anybody about this whatsoever. The only discussion I had was with Commissioner Withington, and if anybody disagrees with that, please speak up. That never happened. I was nominated and I was elected. What has come of that is I found out over the time that Commissioner Nolte was pretty upset about that nomination. And I thought because he wanted to be on the board. Matter of fact, he'd called me. I was one of the people he called. From my understanding, he called all the commissioners. He called me and asked me if he could give me a different job. He offered to let me be on the transportation board instead of the zoo board so that I would withdraw my nomination. I said no. I then understand that he called another commissioner and asked that commissioner, hey, if you won't vote for me, what if I nominate you for this board? And that commissioner refused that. And I thought, well, okay, well, maybe he just doesn't want me on the board. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, there's been an ongoing feud that's been no secret amongst Commissioner Nolte and Commissioner Withington. And it got to, I came to understand that this is more about winning than about what's best for the community. We're talking tens of millions of dollars, and we want to play this game of winning and not wanting Commissioner Withington to win. And so what happened after Commissioner Nolte realized he wasn't going to be on this board, he made a phone call to, or contacted, I'm not sure how the contact went, but he contacted the chair of the zoo, the Friends of the Zoo board. And after he made that contact, they presented 3 names to us, the 3 names that we have now. One is Mayor Knutson, who's been on the board, again illegally, but been on the board. And in the other 2, it's kind of ironic because the other 2 out of 250,000 plus people we have in this community, there's only 2 people I know of that have come before this board that have actually said some negative things about this board, both here and publicly, particularly about Commissioner Withington. It's obviously they don't like Commissioner Withington. It's obviously they're probably not going to get Commissioner Withington's vote, and maybe not some of the other folks on the commission. They've posted things publicly. It's obvious, and by the way, these 2 people never asked to be on the zoo board. They were contacted by the chair after a conversation with Commissioner Nolte if they would be on the zoo board. What's ironic about that is we do have at least one other person. I know Mayor Knutson has reached out to some individuals here and asked for support on that board. There's only one other person who's reached out to this board, and I think he reached out to all the board, and that's Mayor Randy Pogue from Kearney, a very popular mayor who, by profession, is a banker. He deals with hundreds of millions of dollars on a regular basis. Certainly a good fit for this position. Yet between Commissioner Nolte and the chair of the zoo board, they've decided that a mayor with a background in banking would not be a good fit for this position. But yet the 2 people who have come before this board and have been very antagonistic against this commission, that those are the 2 we're going to put in here. I called them. I've talked to everybody involved, by the way. I've talked to all the candidates. The only person I haven't talked to is Mayor Knutson. I reached out to him a couple months ago. I asked to meet with him. He still hasn't responded to me. I talked with the other 2, who I believe are being used as pawns in this, whether they know it or not, whether they're in agreement with that to be used as pawns against Jason or Commissioner Withington, I don't know. But it's disheartening to say the least. I think this is the reason why most Americans hate politicians, because of the games that are played. This is tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money that we're spending, that we're not giving an account for, haven't given an account for, or at least not publicly, and not to this commission as is required by law for the last 10 years. And then we're going to play these games because we're upset because somebody else nominated someone else besides me, and we don't want them to win. So now we're going to try and bully the rest of the commission into voting for who we want on the other position by putting 2 other candidates that we think no one will vote for. I think it's highly unethical. I think it's pretty much disgusting politics, and I don't know how much of the board, the zoo board that is aware of this. But as a result of these political games, let me tell you what's happening. You got a couple folks that are being used as pawns here. You've got Mayor Knutson, who I don't know how innocent he is or if he's involved in this, if you had a conversation with him or not, you can address that. But I think it's hurting his chances of being reelected to this board simply because I know everybody on this commission very well, and I don't think anybody wants to be bullied into a vote. I don't think anyone wants to be bullied into, hey, we have to vote for him because of these other two people we put up. That's kind of the appearance that I think a lot of people are seeing. I've gotten several calls asking about the maniacal behavior of our presiding commissioner when it comes to the Zoo District Commission, and asking here's a concerning part, they're asking, why is Clay County even still involved in this? People are asking, how do we get out of the zoological district? Why do we just stop paying taxes altogether, this 1/8 cent sales tax? I will tell you I'm against that. I don't support that at all at this point. But that's the kind of people that are paying taxes, they don't like these games. And they don't just want to give people money away so that people can play games with these boards who are supposed to be oversights for these positions. It's drama. It's just drama that we don't need on this board. And it's drama that reminds me of the drama of the past that that's why we have a new constitution. That's why we have a new body of the commission. There's one common denominator that's from this past, and the drama is still here. And we got to stop. We got to stop the drama. And we got to stop playing these games. We need to do the right thing and put 3 names forward. I would like to push this back and ask the support of the commission to table this, to push this back to the Zoological Friends of the Zoo District Board to reconsider. I'm going to assume they don't know all the background here. Actually talking with the chair, and I talked with the executive director. Does it sound like they knew all the details here? I'd like to ask them why they would pass up someone who put their name in for it and asked to be on this, who's a great candidate. By all accounts, on paper, looks better than everybody else, or most others. Certainly Mayor Knudsen looks good on paper as well. But probably bigger than that is, again, I don't think the legal process was handled. It's never been handled properly. The legal, under 80 RSMO 184.506, says the Friends of the Zoo Incorporated shall provide the names of 3 individuals to the governing body of each eligible county. Each individual name shall be at least 21, and it gives a description of what they have to be to qualify. But these names I will submit to you were not submitted by the Friends of the Zoo Incorporated board. The board, most of the board doesn't even know about these names, does not know the background of this. These names were submitted by the chair of the board in cooperation with our presiding commissioner, which is not what the state law describes. This is supposed to come from that board. This is old school, good old boys club games that people are tired of, and I'm tired of it. And I'm going to call it every time I see it. This needs to go through the proper channels. The zoo board, if you got somebody who's interested, like Randy Pogue, Mayor Randy Pogue, with a background in finances, who's going to scrutinize very well what's happening with our tax dollars, that's the kind of person I want to see on that board. And that's the kind of person I want to work with on that board. Whether or not he gets elected, I don't know. I think Mayor Knudsen has a good chance of being elected as well. But I think this hurts his chances because of the games that everybody sees. Not just me, and not just the board, not just this commission, but everybody I've talked to who's watched the presentation of these names just last week thrown on us. Everyone said this is a game. This is Jerry playing a game saying, quote, screw you, Commissioner Withington, I'll show you, for nominating someone against me. So with that, I move that we table this.
Commissioner, I just want to point something out, and also to anybody who's listening. I'm sorry to interrupt, but just for a point of information, I believe you're about to make a motion to table. For those watching, a motion to table would mean that discussion would stop and we would immediately vote on the motion to table. The reason I interrupted you, Commissioner, and I apologize for that, was that we had 2 commissioners who also wanted to speak. So if you wanted to, I will recognize you for that motion, or you can make it now. It's your choice.
No, you're right. I see 2 others as well. We'll let them speak first. Thanks.
Okay, and I will come back to you after they've spoken and recognize you for your motion. Before we go forward, I'd like to say 2 things. First off, no, a lot of that was, that was not true. I did not make an attempt to influence the Friends of the Zoo Board. It's just wrong. Secondarily, and what happened after last week's vote, and I will renew, and that is congratulations. We both wanted a position. You were able to prevail. Okay, well, I'm ready to move forward. With that, I believe Commissioner Lawson, you were first to seek recognition.
Yes, sir, I was. We had spoken, I've said this before, but it bears repeating, as they say, as you would say. We'd spoken over 2 years ago about this very issue, that we needed to have some of the other commissioners have the opportunity to serve on these boards. Because in the past, I think you had 3 people. Well, there weren't enough people to really spread all of those names around. So you took it upon yourself and you did a lot more than you probably needed to. In this instance, after over 10 years, I felt when I talked to Commissioner Johnson that it was a valid point that it was time for us to kind of, as we say, spread the wealth a little bit. Wanted to give some of these other commissioners a chance to serve on some of these different boards, you know, not just something that's within the county exactly, but you know, spread the wealth out to boards that serve Kansas City, Gladstone, some of these other entities, and for us to have a little more exposure to all of those different areas. But I feel before we name anyone to this board, I want to know exactly how those 2 names were selected. And I do agree 1,000% with Commissioner Johnson. The 2 names that we were given were people who came in here and totally disrespected this commission. Because we didn't do exactly what they wanted us to do, they were completely disrespectful to all of us, and especially to Jason Withington. They treated him like a dog and talked to him badly. So he's part of this team, and that really was upsetting to me that they went after him. So what I'd like to see happen, now that Commissioner Johnson is part of the Zoo Board, I would like for you to go to them and say, here's our problem. We would like to see how these people were selected. Did you send us these names? If they say no, then we need to ask them to send us a couple names. Mayor Pogue is one of the most outstanding people I know. He's loved in Kearney. He does a great job. He's highly intelligent. He has all that banking background. And maybe that isn't something that the zoo needs exactly. But you're an officer. We're an ex-officer. Do they need police background? They need anybody that's willing to go down there and give up their time. We don't ask the people that want to serve on our boards, oh, did you ever fly a plane? And if you didn't, you can't be on the airport board. Or do you play golf? Well, we're not putting you on the park board. You know, we put the people that really care about that land and want to be a part of it and help it grow. So the same is applicable here. If Mayor Pogue has the desire to do it, and he went through and did it the right way. He put his application in, and then he called a number of us and said, will you support me? And I told him I gladly would. And then we get these names out of the clear blue sky. So as far as I'm concerned, until I can find some valid proof of why this was done the way it was done, I'm with you that I think this is put aside for the time being until we get some answers and we get some viable candidates.
Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you. I'm not sure where to start, so I'll just start wherever and I'll get to wherever. What was just described to me seems to suggest that we have already told the Friends of the Zoo who we want to see. We want to see a certain name appear among these 3. To do so, in my opinion, is way out of line. State law says whose roles are what.
We are not to tell them who to send to us. They get to choose. We don't even get to tell them how they get to choose. They simply get to choose. If we are going to start saying that we want things done the right way, and we are declaring publicly who we want to see on a list of 3, then I am sorry, we are the ones that are out of line. I want to make that very clear. I don't, and I appreciate the relitigation of last week, but I'm here to tell you, unless there is something in state law, which is why I asked this last week, as to what and how our role is in this process, then we stick to what our role is. It is not for us to decide who is qualified or not. It is for them to decide. We may disagree with it. We may disagree with that violently. But at the end of the day, that is their role. And if we are now going to start saying who are the names that we want to see, and we say that in a room like this, and we're going to say, we're not even going to take this up because we didn't see the name that we wanted to see, then I'm afraid we are just as guilty of what was described by Commissioner Johnson just a few moments ago. Allow me. I'm about done. But I understand your points. I understand that we don't want things to look fishy, but I also understand that this body can't start throwing names out ourselves. That's not our role. And again, we may agree or disagree with how they come to those names. But as I mentioned last week, I totally expected this letter not to change, and it did not. So what happens if we say, we're going to table this until you bring us more names, and we get the same 3 names? Again, we went through this before with the ATA, right? Sent our 3 names. Mayor of Kansas City didn't choose them, and we were not very happy about that. I just want us to be very careful when we start saying, we know your process is better than you do, and we don't like what you came up with, because then we become a player in the same game that was just described. I'll leave it at that.
Commissioner, let me kind of do a little traffic cop here. Commissioner Lawson, you have sought recognition. Commissioner Johnson, you have not. If you want to respond.
I can't, I'm already green lighted, so that's why I'm not on there.
Okay, well, you can only have one person recognized at a time. Here's what I'm asking is, Commissioner Lawson, would you yield to Commissioner Johnson to ask more questions? Thank you for that moment of I just wanted to do Commissioner Lawson the courtesy of making sure that she would yield to you, so please. And this is not your motion, so you don't get to be on all the time, but go right ahead. You're recognized.
So just a couple responses to Commissioner Wagner. Telling the Friends of the Zoo Board that we know more than them about their process. That's exactly what I'm telling you. That's exactly what I'm telling them. They've never once followed the law on this. They don't know the state law. They didn't know the state law, and they did not follow it this time. These 3 recommendations did not come from Friends of the Zoo. They came from the chair of the Friends of the Zoo in consultation with Commissioner Nolte. Period. I know that for a fact. I've talked to people. Period. That's not what the law says. Whether the letter of the law or even the legislative intent in the law, it's not for one person over at the zoo, the voluntary chair of the board, to make the selection in consultation with his good friend, who's upset because of what I described. That's what happened. So first of all, yeah, I do know the process better than them. They've never followed it. I'm the one that brought this to their attention as well as to Commissioner Nolte. And I don't mean that as a ha-ha, gotcha kind of deal, but just understand, no, we need to take a look at their process. I don't think the legislative intent was for them to dictate to us who we choose. I think their job was for them to give us three quality names. And we're certainly not telling them who to put who those 3 names are. My question to them was, when I talked to the chair, was, why did you take Randy Pogue's name off when he's the only one that expressed interest in it? The only one who expressed interest in it. Instead of putting his name on, a guy who expressed interest and appears to be very qualified, which, by the way, I'm still not convinced he would necessarily get it. One of his good friends, Commissioner Whittington, said he wouldn't vote for him. So I'm not convinced that he would get that. But nonetheless, they bypassed what appears to be a very qualified candidate. At least they could tell us why. And instead, they reached out to people who didn't show any interest at all. Matter of fact, I called one of the candidates and said, hey, tell me about this. He says, I didn't even know there was an opening. I just got a call from the chair and said, hey, you want to be on this board? Come on. We know those are games. We know exactly what's going on. And let's not try and play and dance around it. Everybody who heard these names come out, they know exactly what's going on. Nobody likes these political gamesmanship being played. 3 quality names, and really, those 2 names are the only 2 names we can come up as the best possible names? No. And because the board was not involved in this, period. That's a legal issue, period. So I'm saying let's push it back to them. Hey, get the board involved. Let them talk about it. And what we really need is people that have the ability to look at where are our tax dollars going, to be accountable to the public on the $6 million a year that we're given to the zoo, and have some transparency and know a little bit about finances and money. And at the same time, when I talked to the chair, he said, hey, not only do we need someone who knows about finances, we need someone who's a little bit politically savvy, who's involved politically. I said, well, who better than probably the most popular mayor in Clay County right now, won by over about 95% in his last election, and one of the fastest growing cities in Clay County. I think that's pretty good connection, political connection there, and an impeccable background when it comes to finances. Again, I'm not saying that they have to put him on that list, but why would you pass that up? I mean, it just doesn't pass a smell test. You pass him up when he's the one that says, hey, I'm interested in this. And I'm assuming that Mayor Knutson did as well. Mayor, like I said, he reached out to a couple of you guys. Mayor Knutson did, I know that, which is fine. And they made it very clear that they want Mayor Knutson in their letter. This letter, they made it very clear that they want Mayor Knutson to be reelected to that board. And that's fine. I appreciate their input on that. And I have no problems with that. But come on, this doesn't pass a smell test. You know that this is a game that's being played. This is not in the best interest of our taxpayers putting up millions of dollars every year to this zoo. We don't need to play that game. We're elected to do what's best for our citizens. What's best for our citizens is, number one, that the zoo board puts together 3 of the best quality names they can come up with. Not with the idea, hey, how can we manipulate this? How can we get the person that we want to? Because it's not their job to, it's clear in the law, it's not their job to pick. And it's certainly, I think you can conclude the legislative intent wasn't for them to give us the name, that they want, and they give us 2 other names that they're pretty sure that we won't vote on. Because that's the game that's being played here. And I know there's a conversation that took place between you and the chairman about this. I know that for a fact. I wouldn't say that if I didn't. So that's the problem that we have. It's like, and the bigger problem is the whole board didn't know about this. The board, which the law says is supposed to be giving us these names, they don't know anything about this. They don't know the background that's going on here. They don't know the issues it's creating. They don't know the people in Clay County are saying, hey, why are we even involved in this? Because this can go back to the voters again and say, hey, we want out of this district. That's what the law says. They can get out of this by a vote. I'm not advocating that. Actually, I'm against that at this point. And I want to continue to be against that. But if they're going to play games with the millions of dollars our taxpayers are paying, it's just not worth it. It's stupid for us to play these selfish political games. It's just stupid. And it's not what we were elected to do. Let's do what's right for the people, not for our own self-interest, not because I'm mad at somebody else or because I lost something, because I'd prefer to have this guy. No, let's do the best we can. And if Mayor Knutson is a good candidate, let's get him on that list. If Mayor Pogue's a good candidate, which by all accounts it seems like, let's get him on that list. If there's others that are good candidates, let's get them on that list. But let's not play these games. And that's really what I'm asking for. And I don't think the board is aware of that. The Friends of the Zoo Board of Directors is aware of that because they did not have a say in this. And so that's kind of where I'm pushing this back, because I think that needs to happen.
Okay. Commissioner Lawson's next 2 points. First off, I did not try to influence the list that was submitted. Secondarily, and Commissioner Withington can speak for himself, he's to be recognized after Commissioner Lawson. That was, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be corrected, and I appreciate it if I am, my understanding was that you were going to recuse, not vote. So while it might be a subtle distinction, I think it's one that I think that's important, because it doesn't, it's a different quality to it. But I won't go any further from that. If Commissioner Withington in his comments wants to address that point, he's absolutely at liberty to do so. However, next on the list would be Commissioner Lawson. Commissioner, you are recognized.
I kind of was going to say what Commissioner Johnson said, but I do feel strongly that they did not follow procedure. Now, if they had followed procedure and these people had put their names in and there were, 3 applications legitimate, then I'd be right ready to vote for whoever. But under the circumstances, the procedure was not followed properly to begin with. There was a lot of under-the-table kind of stuff going on here. And if none of the zoo board understood that this was happening, that's very upsetting to me. They're the ones that are responsible for giving us those names. And if they're coming another way, then I don't feel that we are doing anything that isn't ethical or legal here. We're saying, send us things the proper way. We will take the proper action and let it go at that. But the way that this is now, I agree 100% that we need to put this on the back burner till we get some legit answers. And then once that we know 100% that it's coming through to us legitimately, the proper way by the board, really coming from the board, then I'm ready to vote on whoever we get. But until that time, I'm definitely not.
Commissioner Withington.
So I just want to say that when Mayor Pogue, reached out and said that he was interested in this, everybody in this room knows Randy's my campaign treasurer. He's my best friend. Him and I talk every day. We hang out, have Thanksgiving, Christmas and stuff together. I told Randy I couldn't vote for him. Not because I didn't think he could do the job, but because, we know how people are. They're going to think there's a conflict of interest. And I think I asked Kevin if there was a conflict. Kevin said no, but we know how people are. There's a perceived conflict. I mean, Randy gave me WWE tickets and everybody went crazy on social media about that. But he's given me WWE tickets for 7-8 years, so it wasn't because he was a mayor and I was a commissioner. It was because we're friends. So I told Randy I couldn't vote for him. Now, I did tell Greg when Greg reached out to me that I would vote for him. I don't have any issues with Mayor Knutson. My problem, though, is I really did, when I saw this last Thursday, this letter, I laughed when I saw 2 of these names on here. It was very obvious that these 2 names were picked for a reason. And then when Commissioner Johnson found out that they hadn't even applied for this position, that they were sought out to have their names put on, I mean, it was obvious. And then when we found out that conversation took place with Commissioner Nolte, I try not to have my beef with Jerry public, but for that, it seemed like it was a slap in the face, and that's why I made the motion last week to hold off on this. So, I mean, I'm ready to do whatever the commission wants to do. If the commission wants to table this until we can get more answers, I mean, I'm fine with that. It's whatever, but I just wanted you guys to know that I publicly did tell Mayor Pogue that I would not vote for him for perception, and I did tell Mayor Knutson I would vote for him, so that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Commissioner. I didn't want to mischaracterize what your position was on that. That's why I wanted to defer to you on that. So I certainly appreciate that clarification. Commissioner Wagner.
Thank you, and I'll add my voice of thanks to Commissioner Withington for his comments. Appreciate those very much. I just want to, actually, one of the words that you used, I think, is very appropriate here, and that is perception. It's all about perception. This whole conversation is all about perception. And I'm not going to drag myself too much into that. So, but I will say this. One, as I've said many times when we've talked about boards and commissions, I have always said, I think it's on the tape, you got to have a mix of new ideas and institutional memory. We got new ideas coming based on our vote last week. Whether one looks at this process and says good, bad, otherwise, there is institutional memory there right now. And I guess my challenge is if you were to change this list, but Mayor Knutsen's name was still on it, I would say for the sake of institutional memory, I want him to go back, especially if he is currently chair of this group. That being said, I still have a great many concerns that we have been talking about another individual that we would like to see, or that at least we have suggested is more qualified than these two that are listed in addition to Mr. Mayor Knutsen. I will say, I've known these other two for a lot of years, and to say they are unqualified because they have been disrespectful to this group, I take issue with for a couple of reasons, one of which is they are experienced. Number two, disrespect goes both ways, and I'm not exactly sure we have rolled out the red carpet for them for which they have spat on. I would not characterize their interactions in that manner. Nevertheless, at the end of the day, here's what it really boils down to, and based on what I've heard, if this body is unsatisfied with the way in which, whether one wishes to characterize it as illegal or whatever, that these names that have been brought to our attention are illegitimate, and therefore we wish to communicate through tabling that we want the entire board to now be engaged, however that is done, because I don't know how that's done there. If they were to come back with these exact three names, then what? Are we ready to take action then or not? So I will not support the resolution because I think at the end of the day, I believe in institutional memory. Mayor Knutsen has it. He will always have it if he is on any list that comes to us. I'm cool with that. But I will also say if this group does decide to table it, then I hope whatever message goes to them is given, and whatever they return back to us is to our satisfaction, because if we're going to parse out what is legal and what is not, at the end of the day, there's going to be a list. And at some point, we're going to have to take some action. So I just want us to be very careful that if we're going to tell them they've done everything wrong, and then they do everything right, and it's still the same three names, well, I guess at some point we're going to take action, and I'll leave it at that. I know that there's a motion that's ready to be made. Thank you.
I will be recognizing Commissioner Johnson. However, there are two other commissioners wishing to speak, so I'm going to go ahead and give both of them their opportunity to speak. And unless someone else wants to jump in, then I will recognize Commissioner Johnson. Is that acceptable to everybody? Very good. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you. So now that we are kind of getting into the weeds of this, I'm inclined to want to bring in our county counselor. Oh, Mr. Kevin over there, I see you. Hi. So now that because we're kind of bucking against state statute, can we actually table this without there being like legal ramifications coming forth? Because we know what the state statute said. There says they were going to supply us with a list. They've done that, even though I don't necessarily agree with the process. You know, I think we all are kind of in agreement on the way this is, but I don't know, do we have authority to say, no, we can't, we're not, no, go back and bring us new people?
So to that specific question, I think the answer is yes, we can table it.
Okay.
So the state statute has a very open parameter, which is they give us a name, or excuse me, they give us a list with three names. We have to pick from one of those three and pick one, and we have to do it within 60 days. It's not clear on what we do in that 60 days. If we want to table it and bring it back in 58 days, we can. The way I would read the statute, I certainly wouldn't assert that we don't have the flexibility to take as much time in that 60 days as we want. I think that's what the statute would suggest. Now, again, maybe a corollary to your question is, can we demand that they give us 3 new names or reject these in total? No, I mean, that's not in the statute. We have to ultimately pick from their list. And if they choose somebody, if we get the same list again, or they say we're not giving you a new list, ultimately we have 60 days. And just so everyone knows, I did some calculations. The 60th day, county administrator tells me we received the list on the 9th of July. The 60th day is September 7th, which happens to be a Sunday. So I guess, technically we go to the following Monday, but realistically, our last meeting within that 60-day window appears to be September 4th on a Thursday.
Okay. No, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Did that get your question answered?
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
just want to make sure that, do we have even enough authority to even table it? Because I know that when it boils down, if we don't follow, we might not like the process they chose, how they did it. We're going to have to make a decision. And they could keep submitting those 3 names over and over and over. And at some point in time, we're going to have to pick somebody. So
Sure.
I just don't want to get us in legal trouble. So.
I just had a quick follow-up because that was an awfully good question, technical question. So the commission has 60 days in which to make a selection. What happens on the, 62nd day, since we're talking about Sunday, what happens after that? Or is there really anything set out in the state law, or is it just kind of a blank?
There is no language in the statute for what happens after that. So I guess given that, I would refrain from wanting to speculate on how various entities might try to enforce whatever rights they think they have.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to do that follow-up.
But the statute does not say this happens. So actually, it's good. So some statutes say if you don't pick, then they get the pick. It doesn't say that, and it doesn't say there's some automatic pick that happens. So that I probably should say that as well. It is silent on that.
I thought that was a good question Commissioner Thompson asked, and I just wanted to follow up with a little bit of detail. Commissioner Carpenter?
Thanks. First, just want to add to what Commissioner Withington said. I also spoke with Mayor Knutson a long time ago about this. I don't actually recall specifically when, but it feels like it was something like 5 months ago. Had a lengthy conversation about this appointment. And in the course of that conversation, told him I'd, support his reappointment to the board. Nothing has, happened in the intervening months that would cause me to change that. I voted for him 4 years ago to put him on the board. And I also take Commissioner Wagner's point about the value of institutional memory, the fact that we have the chair of the board be a Clay County resident. I think there's a tremendous value in that, and I think he's, served admirably, on that board. With all that said, I think Commissioner Johnson has raised some important questions, made some important observations, in particular to me, was the full board involved in the selection of these 3 folks or not. I think we've all been around plenty of boards. I know I have anyway over the years. Normally the full board would need to take such an action before the executive director would be empowered to send such a letter. So I'm not sure, I don't know, what the truth is there, how that played out. I obviously wasn't present for it, but that feels to me like a valid question. And to the extent that tabling provides additional time to get to the bottom of that and make sure procedures were followed, I think there's a lot of value in that too. Bottom line, I think most important observation I'll make is that this could have and should have been avoided. There is really no reason at all that this has played out this way. I don't think it's a great look. And I would just encourage everybody that we can and ought to strive to do better in the future to represent the people. Thanks.
Commissioner Withington.
Yeah, I just want to, I don't know if this is going to impact the motion you make, Commissioner Johnson, but Randy sent me a text and he said he's no longer interested in serving on this board. He said it's just, doesn't sound like a group of people he wants to be associated with, so.
What a shame. What a shame.
Okay, Commissioner, if there's anyone else wishing to speak before I recognize Commissioner Johnson? I see no one on my board. Commissioner Johnson, you are recognized.
Yeah, thank you. So that's unfortunate about Mayor Pogue, and it's just one of the disgusting things that happens with politics that I think is vile, reprehensible. It's just, it should never happen. He's a good man, and whether or not he would have made it on the board or not doesn't matter, but he was a good man. For him to withdraw because of that, this is the kind of drama that we don't need. This is the kind of stuff that people got so tired of years ago with this commission, and I'm tired of it too. We don't need this kind of stuff. We don't need this good old boys backdoor gaming. To put pressure on our counselor again, Mr. Graham, Commissioner Thompson talked about, can we push back? And of course we can. We have 60 days. We can table it. But the bigger question, the legal question, I think Commissioner Carpenter hit on it, is that it's required to come from, the statute says, it's the Friends of the Zoo Incorporated who makes that decision of those three, not the chair. I spoke with the chair, and so I know for a fact that this did not go before the board. He's admitted that, and I spoke with the executive director, who also admitted that. This did not go before the board. So they have not done this properly. And it sounds like once I briefed them on some of the background, what's going on, it sounds like they weren't completely aware of whether you believe it or not, they weren't completely aware of all the political gamemanship that was going on behind the scenes and just this stupid drama that's taken place again. So with that, I move that we table this, we send it back to the Friends of the Zoo Board of Directors to reevaluate and give us a list of 3 names approved by the board.
I have one question, Mr. Counselor. These feel like 2 different motions, so I'd just like to make sure it's proper to form. One part of this motion is to table, the other is to send it back. Is it okay to combine those 2 motions together?
I think so. I mean, essentially what I'm hearing is a motion to table with direction to staff is
Right.
essentially what I'm hearing.
Right, and if I need to take the table off, I'll just say motion to and we have a motion on the board, I think, to nominate. So
Yes.
I
I think
substitute motion or what, but
There's a pending motion to nominate.
Yeah.
So I think to do what I think you want to do, your motion needs to be to table.
okay.
Yeah, you have a privileged motion, so that would overcome the underlying motion. I just wanted to make sure that it was right to form and not get kind of stuck in some kind of a legal limbo. So,
If the motion table is approved, I think staff will get that taken care of.
Okay.
We understand that direction.
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have any technical issues to get tied up in. So, Commissioner, go ahead and restate your motion so I'd make sure I can restate it properly.
So I'd like to table the motion with direction to staff to go back to the Friends of the Zoo Board of Directors to reconsider 3 names to come from the board, not from the chair.
You're not tabling the motion, you're tabling 2025-218.
You're tabling the resolution.
Correct.
Yeah,
So that's the
yeah, you tabling the resolution.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay. I'm going to try to restate this, and please feel free to
Okay.
correct me. Motion has been made to table, where are we at, 2025-218, with instructions to staff to reach out to the Friends of the Zoo Incorporated Board and asking them to submit names. I'm going to go ahead and finish
Submit
my
3
point.
names in compliance with the state law.
Submit 3 names, okay. All right, there we are. So, motion has been made. It is a privileged motion, therefore there will be no discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
No.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes.
Commissioner Withington?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Motion table to passes. That concludes the discussion on 2025-218. And that brings us to County Administrator comments. Mr. Administrator?
Yes, the only comments I have for tonight is that we'll have a meeting scheduled next week, July 24th. That'll be it for tonight.
Okay. And that brings us to Commissioner comments. Commissioner Carpenter, let's start with you if you don't mind, please. Oh, you did not have any? Okay. Commissioner Thompson? Commissioner Johnson?
No comments.
Commissioner Wagner? Commissioner Lawson? Commissioner Withington? You're recognized.
Somebody's got to say something. So just want to, I just want to say thank you to the Idecker Mining Company. Commissioner Johnson was supposed to be there, but Commissioner Lawson and I, they after the appeal from Mosby came, I reached out to Paul and Ken Idecker, and they gave us a tour of their facility. And I think there's still some questions for the people of Mosby, but yeah, they were kind enough to take us on a tour of their facility. And then also just want to say that storm last night, we can blame John. That was him coming back from Las Vegas and bringing all that stuff with him. So
Nicely delayed.
And that brings us to me, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and we will be adjourned. Thank you.